Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a regular meeting of the Newark Zoning Board of Adjustment. Today's date is Thursday, April 25th, 2024. The purpose of this meeting is to hear requests for variances from the Newark zoning and land use regulations under the authority of the municipal land use law. If you're an applicant for a D or use variance, you should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for the grant of the variance exist and that the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning plan of the city of Newark. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you require an affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Other variances require a majority of 4 votes to grant the variance. If you're an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have a right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of the decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If you are an objector to any type of variance and the variance is granted, you too may appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of the decision of this board. If you do file an appeal, I ask that you please provide a copy of your complaint with all supporting documentation to the zoning board secretary, who will ensure that it is provided to our council. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by notifying the Star Ledger, the Jersey Journal, the Newark City Clerk, and posting a copy on the bulletin board in the basement of Newark City Hall. In addition to adequate notice under the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this remote public meeting, as permitted by statute, was placed on the City of Newark's website. Members of the public may notify the host that you would like to ask questions or make statements by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your computer screen or your mobile device. I'd remind everyone that the board is a quasi-judicial board, and as such, if an appeal is taken, we are required to send a copy of the official transcript to the Superior Court. I remind you that the chat is not part of the official transcript. So we want to make sure that any comments you have, any questions you have, the answer to those questions are part of the official transcript. So I'd ask you to refrain from using the chat. Additionally, when you use the chat, it pops up on the screen. It's disruptive. It's akin to speaking out loud if we were meeting in person. So I ask you to refrain from using the chat. The meeting of the Board of Adjustment will now come to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Member Hardesty.
Present.
Member Comesañas.
Present.
Member Jones.
Present.
Member Rivero.
Present.
Member Cobian.
Present.
Member Torres.
Present.
Vice Chair Mumford.
Present.
Chair Alford.
Present. Are there any requests for adjournments or postponements? Requests for adjournments or postponements? If so, please identify yourself by using the raised hand feature on your phone. I'd ask you to do so now. I see no raised hands. Do you, Madam Secretary?
No, there are no raised hands.
Call the first case, please.
The time is now 6:32 p.m. The first item on tonight's agenda is ZBA-21-84, 917 Bergen Street, Block 3593, Lot 17 in the South Ward. The applicant is Mehran, Sanandaji, and Rozita Soomekh for Piazza Group LLC. In the South Bergen Redevelopment Plan Area, Mixed-Use Neighborhood Residential, MUNR District, the applicant proposes to construct a 3-story, 2-family dwelling with 1 parking space. This project does not conform to the zoning bulk standards. The applicant is seeking C variances for insufficient lot area, insufficient lot depth, insufficient lot area per unit, insufficient side and rear yard setbacks, exceeding maximum lot coverage, and insufficient facade transparency. Site plan approval is not required. This application was approved on February 24th, 2022. The applicant is seeking a one-year extension.
Counsel? Ms. Mejia, counsel on this case?
Yes, he's being brought in, Mr. Miles.
Okay. This is application ZBA-21-84, 917 Bergen Street. Are there
Yes.
any persons other than counsel who have an interest in this application? If so, please identify yourself by raising your hand. You can do so by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen, or if you're on a telephone, press star 9. I'd ask you to do so now. While we're waiting for you to do so, counsel your appearance for the record, please.
Yes, Miles Hunter, I'm representing Mehran, Sanandaji, and Piazza Group LLC, the applicant on this file.
Thank you. Ms. Mejia, are there any raised hands?
No, they're not.
Counsel?
Yes, board, this application was approved and my client is working on getting financing. They do believe that they will have they're a small business. They do believe that they will have financing in place that will allow them to go forward with the project within 1 year. So we are therefore requesting just a 1-year extension of the application.
Thank you. Counsel, this is the first extension on this application?
Yes, this is in fact the first request for an extension. And we
Thank
are
you.
again requesting 1 year.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board for counsel regarding this application? Questions from the board for counsel? I see none. Seeing no questions, may I have a motion, please?
Motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Comesañas to approve.
Second.
And we have a second from Commissioner Riviera. Call the roll, please.
Member Hardesty,
Yes.
Member Comesañas,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Rivero,
Yes.
Member Cobian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mumford,
Yes.
Chair Afant.
Yes. Your application for a 1-year extension is approved. Congratulations,
All
counsel.
right. Thank you. Good evening.
Have a good evening. Call the next case, please.
The time is now 6:35 p.m. The next item is ZBA-20-53, located at 124 Mapes Avenue, Block 3663, Lot 15 in the South Ward. The applicant is BH Investors LLC. In the R2 zone, the applicant proposes to convert an existing 2-family into a 3-story 3-family dwelling with 3 parking spaces. 3-family dwellings are not permitted in the R2 zone. Applicant is seeking a D1 use variance, C variances for insufficient rear yard setback, exceeding maximum impervious yard coverage, insufficient rear facade transparency, and insufficient on-site and shade trees. Site plan approval is required. This application was approved on February 25th, 2021. The applicant is seeking 2 1-year extensions.
This is application ZBA-20-53, 124 Mapes Avenue. Are there any persons with an interest in this application? If so, please raise your hand. Counsel for this matter?
Mr. Michael Levine.
Mr. Levine, how do you pronounce your name, counsel?
Michael Levine.
Okay, Mr. Levine, could you put your appearance on the record, please?
Certainly, Michael Levine with Fox Rothschild, representing the applicant BH Investors LLC.
Thank you. Ms. Mejia, are there any raised hands?
No, they're not.
Counsel?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My client received unanimous approval from this board back in February of 2021. There were no objectors to the application. He went through the resolution compliance process. There were a number of plan revisions that were submitted. He made payments to the tree replacement fund in connection with the variance relief he received for lack of street trees. There was also a water flow test that was required by the Water and Sewer Department, and there were some delays in completing that. And that my understanding is that the engineer was out for medical reasons for an extended period, but that has finally been performed and passed. And just as he was readying to apply for building permits, was advised that he needed an extension. So this is our first request for an extension, but just due to the timing, it's a request for 2 one-year extensions, which would bring us to March of 2025. But my expectation is my client will be in a position to file for those permits right away.
Thank you, counsel. Are there any questions for counsel from the board in this matter? Questions from the board for counsel? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Wait, Mr. Chair, before you go there?
Yes, Vice Chair Monfort.
Yes, just why do we need 2 one-year extensions instead of just one one-year extension?
Counsel?
What's the reason for 2?
Because due to the timing, a single one-year extension would only extend us through February of 2024, and since we're past that date, we need the second one.
Noted.
Good answer.
Not trying to be greedy, just what we absolutely need.
Right, understood. Are there any further questions from the board? If none, may I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Comesañas, second. Who is the second? Commissioner Jones. Call the roll, please.
Member Hardesty,
Yes. Yes.
Member Comesañas,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Rivera,
Yes.
Member Cobian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mumford,
Yes.
Chair Alfant.
Yes, congratulations, counsel. Your application's been approved.
Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Sam, call the next case, please.
The time is now 6:39 p.m. The next item on tonight's agenda is ZBA-18-22, located at 58 Union Street, Block 185, Lot 72 in the East Ward. The applicant is 58 Union Street LLC. In the MX1 mixed-use residential/commercial zone, a 4-story addition to an existing mixed-use building to be used as 12 residential units above ground floor commercial. This project does not comply with the zoning book standards. Applicant is seeking a D6 variance. C variances for exceeding maximum side yard setback, insufficient rear yard setback. Preliminary and final site plan approval is required. This application was approved on May 23, 2019. The applicant is requesting 3 one-year extensions.
This is application ZBA-18-22, 58 Union Street. If there are any persons that have an interest in this matter, I'd ask you to please raise your hands, and I'd ask you to do so now. Counsel on this matter?
Ms. Erica Parlavecchio.
Good evening, counsel. Ms. Mejia, are there any raised hands?
No, they're not. Wait,
There are
there's
none.
one. But
Let's
no,
bring-
wait,
Excuse me?
okay, she raised it again. There's one raised hand.
Let's bring that person in.
Screen name Nancy Zach.
Ms. Zach, could you turn your camera on and unmute yourself, please?
I don't know about the cameras.
Understood. Ms. Zach, do you have an interest in this matter?
Yes, because my question is the neighbors did not seem to know about this, and I wondered what the process for public notification was for this extension application.
Okay. Counsel, we have that question. If you could enter your appearance on the record, please, and your presentation, answer that question, that'd be helpful.
Sure. Erica Antonia Parlavecchio from Piazza, Shahinian, and John Tomasi on behalf of the applicant. I guess, as So we're here today to seek 3 one-year extensions, just due to the timing. The application was originally approved on June 27th, 2019. So the 3-year extensions would bring us to June of 2024. And so that's the reason that we're here tonight. And I guess the question was about public notice of the application. Is that?
Yes.
I don't believe, I'm not sure that public notice was, let me just see if it, I don't know that public notice of this was published in the newspaper. As we were just seeking an extension.
Is it your position that, are you saying it's your position that requests for extensions don't have to be noticed publicly?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Mr. Plata?
I'll double check, but I believe that's correct.
Okay, let's double check so we have a complete record. Well, it may take a moment. So, Ms. Zach, counsel for the applicant, it is her position, and our counsel will confirm that hopefully momentarily, that since this is merely an application to extend a previously authorized resolution, action by the board, that notice is not necessary. Ms. Zach, understood?
I hear you.
Okay.
Does that mean that can other questions be raised about the variances at this point or not?
Well, the variances have been approved. This is merely an application to extend the life of the resolution. And what that means is that the board has already voted, the board has permitted this, and the applicant is coming to extend our approvals. My understanding, and counsel could correct me if they believe I'm wrong, my understanding is if the board grants this, our approvals will continue under the ordinance that was in effect at the time we approved it. If we don't approve this, the approvals still are in effect, but they would be subject to any changes in the ordinance. Is that your understanding, counsel?
That's correct.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Is this
Yeah.
Michael Plata speaking?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Plata.
Yeah, I confirm notice for anything less than 5-year extension is not required.
Okay.
And Mr. Chair, if you need, I can also give a little bit more information about the need for this extension if you'd like.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so my understanding is that when we initially got the approval, as I think a lot of projects, we encountered some delays due to COVID. And then there were some issues obtaining financing. And then my client was prepared to proceed with construction and went to the building department to pull building permits and was informed that they needed to seek an extension before this board. So that's the reason why we're here. My understanding is that they're prepared to undergo construction imminently. We're just informed by the building department we need an extension.
Thank you, counsel. Are there any questions for counsel, for the applicant from the board? Questions for counsel from the board? I hear none. Ms. Zach, do you have any further questions for counsel?
Well, from what you're saying, I mean, in the agenda, it isn't very clear that you've already approved a new, it has to be, the approvals have to be consistent with the new zoning ordinance, correct? So it's changed since 2019, and I'm just wondering, now they're asking for a D variance and a C variance, which are serious variances, and I just wondered.
Right. Ms. Ack, no, I think you misunderstood me. Forgive me for not being clearer. The approvals were granted by the board at a meeting on May 23rd, 2019, after a hearing. Those approvals remain. Council is coming before the board to extend the life of those approvals under the ordinance that was in effect on May 23rd, 2019. So if the board did not grant those approvals, those extensions that council is requesting, the approvals continue, but they would continue under the current zoning ordinance. Understand? Was I clear?
Yes, but it seems like when the ordinance changed, there might be differences.
And that's exactly why they're asking for an extension.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I think also, Ms. Zach, so you can request extensions retroactively. So I think notwithstanding that, the 2-year period would have expired in June of 2021 because the resolution was memorialized June of 2019. The request for the 3 1-year extensions would bring our, the change in zoning, approved to June of 2024. So June of this year. So, I guess we're technically retroactively seeking 2 1-year extensions and then an additional 1-year extension to bring us to June of 2024.
Any further questions, Ms. Zach? So these are not new variances that are being granted. These are just extensions of previously granted variances. Further questions?
No, not from me.
Thank you. If there are no further questions from the board, and I hear none, may I have a motion, please?
Motion.
We have a motion, Comisarios. May I have a second, please?
Second.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Question from Ada
Yes,
Caro. Ms. Caro.
correct. My name is Ada Caro. I live in 60 Union Street, right next to this project. And I think most of the question that I have has been answered. I just want a clarification if, I didn't understand that this worked retroactively. So they're saying that this is gonna start in June 24th of this year.
No, what they're
Correct.
saying is that, no, what council said was that if the board passes this request, their extension will go through June 2024.
Okay. So it's not gonna, well, what does that mean? They're gonna start the project?
That means,
June 24th?
no, what that means is that they will have used, I believe, all the 3-year extensions available, and that if they go beyond that date, their project will be subject to the new zoning ordinance in effect.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so, how can I know what is the new zoning ordinance?
Well, it's, you can go on the city's website and it's posted there.
Okay,
If you have a question, you can contact the board secretary or the zoning officer tomorrow during the day at Newark City Hall.
okay, so
Okay?
should I don't know, maybe, I don't know if anybody can answer this, but maybe Ms. Parliavecchio, does that mean that the owner is contemplating changes to the plans?
No.
that were submitted?
No, it just means that they're requesting additional time for their approvals under the prior zoning ordinance to continue under
Okay,
that zoning ordinance. That's all it is. If they
Okay.
want to make any changes, if they want new variances, they'll have to file a new application.
okay, thank you.
Okay? You're welcome.
Bye.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, I believe I had a motion, but my short-term memory is gone. I think we had a motion from Comisarios and a second from
Vice Chair Monfort.
Vice Chair Monfort. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Member Hardesty,
Yes.
Member Comisarios,
Yes.
Member Jones,
Yes.
Member Rivero,
Yes.
Member Copian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mumford,
Yes.
Chair Alphonse.
Yes, congratulations, your application for extension have been approved.
Thank you all. I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you, good evening. Vice Chair Monfort, will you please assume the chair?
Yes.
Thank you, sir, and good night.
Good night. Madam Secretary, call the next case.
The time is now 6:53 PM. The next item on tonight's agenda is ZBA 23 located at 71-73 Lindsley Avenue, block 4072, lot 8 in the West Ward. The applicant is DreamWorks Builders LLC. In the R1 zone, the applicant proposes new construction of a new two-family house. Applicant is seeking a D1 use variance. Site plan approval is not required.
Read the finding of facts for me, Madam Secretary.
The Board of Adjustment made the following findings of facts with respect to 71-73 Lindsley Avenue, which is located in Newark's Valesburg neighborhood on the northeastern corner of the intersection of Lindsley Avenue and Alexander Street. The total site area is approximately 4,000 square feet. The surrounding land uses consist of primarily detached 1, 2, and 3 family dwellings.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Counselor, bring the counselor in and the team.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Noemi Velozzi on behalf of ZBA 23-80 for DreamWorks Builders LLC. I see Mr. Roma and Mr. McDonough here, so we are ready to go.
Are there any supporters? Please raise your hand so that we can bring you to the panel. Any supporters of this application? ZBA 23-80. I don't see any, Ms. Mejia.
No, there are no raised hands.
Are there any objectors of this application? ZBA 23-80. Any objectors? Seeing none, Counselor, you may introduce your application.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call Mr. Roma.
Mr. Roma, you're going to have to be sworn in by Mr. Plata.
Yes. Mr. Roma, do you solemnly swear to affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your affiliation for the record.
My name is Daniel Angel Roma, R-O-M-A. I'm the licensed architect for Artec Studio LLC. The architect that produced these drawings.
Counsel, you may.
My license is current.
Qualify your witness, Counselor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Roma, your license is current, correct?
That's correct.
And you've testified for numerous years before this board, correct?
Yes, around 20.
We have had Mr. Roma before we were accepted as an architect. You may start.
Mr. Roma, can you take us through the plans, please?
Sure. And screen 1, screen 2. Okay. All right. What I'm going to show is a little change because one of the comments done by the planner of the city was that we have to add one more tree, and I add one more tree. And the other thing.
Do we have this on file, or are we saying this is A1?
No, these will be A1. This will be part of the new application. And what we are doing is, this is a R1 district. You have here, one second.
Now, Mr. Roma, you know you got to make that a little bigger for us now. Come on.
I know. I'm doing here. Can you see this now?
That's better.
Yes. As you can see to the right, we have 3 houses. These 3 houses, I was there, and the first one I can see at 3 meters and 3 mailboxes. and it looks like a three family. Next to this is another three family, and the next is another three family. What we are trying to do is we're going to try to build a new two family dwelling in this corner. The property is 40 feet wide by 100 feet deep. It's 40 feet in Lisdale Avenue and 100 feet in Alexander Street. This is a survey, like I said, 40 feet by 100. Let me go to the site plan. On the plans that we have before, we have only two trees on Alexander Street. What I did is I moved the driveway to the back a little bit and 15 feet from the line, and I created space to create another to plant another tree. Now we're going to have the three trees that is required in Alexander Street and one tree on Lindsley Avenue. We also reduce the area of the impervious, and we are proposing, instead of asphalt, we're going to have permeable pavers that will work better for the water retention system. And then we are not going to have any more variance for impervious. The maximum impervious on the building, the parking area, and the side walk will be a total of 62%. Let me go to what we are doing on each floor. On the first floor, we see two entrances. Will be one entrance on Lindsley Avenue, where we'll have around 8 steps go up to get in. You can go down or you can go up. If you go down, you're going to be in an area that we call recreation area, open space with a closet, a washer and dryer, and have a bathroom. Also, from this recreation area, you have access to a 2-car garage. Then, also on the first floor, if we get in from Alexander Street, we have another entrance, and we can go up to the 3rd floor. And we also have a door having access to the garage. Means that each apartment on these two families will have access to the garage. One from the main entrance from Alexander and the other from Lindsley. Then if we go from Lindsley, going up to the 2nd floor, we get into the 2nd floor, we have an open area with an L-shaped kitchen and a dining room. Then we have a corridor getting up to 3 bedrooms. First bedroom to the right is 10 by 10 with a closet. To the left, another 9 by 6 with a closet. And at the end of the corridor, we have a master bedroom with a walk-in closet, 10 by 6, and a full bathroom with 2 sinks, 5 by 10. Also on the corridor, we have another bathroom. This floor, 2nd floor, is a total of 1,429 square feet. If we keep going up to the 3rd floor, this is the one that have the entrance from Alexander. We keep going up to the 3rd floor, and also we, as soon as we come in, we have an open space with a living dining area, L-shaped kitchen, washer and dryer, and also 3 bedrooms, 10 by 10, 9 by 6, and 7 by 12 with a walk-in closet and also 2 bathrooms. If we go now to the elevations, This is the Leslie Avenue elevation. We have the entrance that will go halfway down to the recreation area and halfway up to the second floor. This is the one that have a variance because we're supposed to have 30% of the glazing transparency should be on the facade. We have 26, we're a little short, but I think that we have enough windows makes this facade very attractive. On the other facade that is in Alexander, we meet the 30% transparency, and you can see that also is a very nice facade. I have here some pictures of the buildings around. You can see here 69 Lensley is what I said before that is probably a 3-family. I see 3 mailboxes and it's 1, 2, and 3 levels. This is the corner where we are planning to build our new 2-family. Next, let me see, 1 second. Then 67 is next door to this 3-story, and also you can see there is 1, 2, 3 mailbox. Looks like a 3-family, and next door also looks like a 3-family. Then we have on Alexander Street, definitely these are 2 families. You can see here, these have some damage with the fire, but you can see that there was a 2-family because in the front you can see the 2 doors that take you to the first floor, and then the other one take you to the second floor. And next to this, also you have a 2-family here. You can see the 2 doors coming in to the building. I have some rendering that to show how this house looks like. This is Beasley Street facade, around 8 steps to come in and then going down or up to the second floor. And this is a view of the corner where we have the entrance for the 3rd floor apartment. And that's basically what we are proposing tonight, to create a new, very nice 2-family on a corner lot that has been vacant for many, many years.
Mr. Roma, just one question.
Sure.
The reason we can't increase the transparency on Lindsley is because you'd have to change that facade completely, correct?
Yes. The code says that one of the main the front facade should have 30%. As I have the 2 facade, the one that is on, let me see, 1 second. Here it is. And let me, I cannot. All right. What I'm saying is, we have 2 facades, one in Leslie Avenue and one in Alexander Street. When we designed the project, we designed Alexander Street to be the one with the 30% and Leslie with the 20%. But I think that are enough windows on both elevations and looks pretty nice.
Thank you, Mr. Roma. Mr. Chairman, I don't have any other questions for Mr. Roma.
Are there any questions from the board for Mr. Roma? Mr. Roma?
Yes.
Seeing none from the board. Now, you know, we gotta go downstairs to this recreation area.
Yes.
That I can't really see the bathroom. Is that a half bathroom?
It's a half bathroom.
It's a half, so it's just sink and toilet.
And a toilet, that's correct.
So you wouldn't be opposed to a deed restriction. Is
Yes.
that right? Right?
Yeah, we don't have any problem to a restriction that will remain as a half a bathroom.
All right. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, you may call your next witness.
Mr. Chairman, if we can have Mr. McDonough sworn in?
You may. Raise your right hand, Mr. McDonough.
Mr. McDonough, do you solemnly swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your affiliation for the record.
My name is John McDonough, that's spelled MC, capital DONOUGH, and I'm the project planner.
You may qualify your witness.
Mr. McDonough, is your license current?
It is.
And same as Mr. Roma, you've been before this board for many years, correct?
Yes, I have.
We will accept Mr. McDonough as a planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McDonough, the $1 million question. This area was just turned and it continues as an R1. It was an R1 before, the new development continues it as an R1. So why should the board allow us to put a two-family here?
I think the best way to do this, Mr. Chairman, is to take the board on a quick walk through the neighborhood. Mr. Roma just did it. I'm going to do it a little bit slower, but I'll certainly move quickly. And I think you'll find as we go through this little tour of the neighborhood that a one-family dwelling is a rarity here. And I would offer that a one-family construction here would be more atypical or out of line with the character of the area, notwithstanding the zoning, than the two-family dwelling that's being proposed here. So I'll show you what I saw when I walked the neighborhood today. And we'll just take you one by one. This is an aerial view of the subject property. It's a vacant corner lot on the corner of Lindsley and on the corner of Alexander. My walk kind of goes down Lindsley, then we're going to take you back on Lindsley. We're going to go up Alexander. We're going to come back down Alexander, and then you're going to hit a couple more lots over on Lindsley. So before we do that, here's a view from the corner of Lindsley and Alexander. There's our vacant lot. There's a view from Alexander Street, again, vacant lot. Mr. Roma is generally respecting the curb cut that's there now for access for parking. This is a view from Lindsley Street. So now what I'm going to start doing is walking towards the buildings that you see on the right. And first building we see, you can see the multiple mailboxes, the multiple meters, and according to the post office, United States Postal Service, we validated 3 addresses here. That's 69 Lindsley, next 67 Lindsley, same thing, 3 addresses, and we've highlighted the multiplicity of mailboxes. 63, 65, and we're just moving down the street here, 3 addresses validated by the United States Postal Service. I actually did not see any mailboxes here, but we do have the validation from the Postal Service. 59 Lindsley Avenue, it's clearly an apartment building, 4 addresses validated by the Postal Service. Working our way to the next building, you've got 4 mailboxes, 4 addresses at 51-53. We've almost made it all the way down the block. We haven't seen a single family yet. Here's another 2-family, 4749 Lindsley. Again, we're working our way down the street, 2 addresses. And then now we start to work our way to the other side of the street where we've got the even numbers, 50-52 Lindsley, 2 addresses, 2 mailboxes. Again, still not a single family dwelling. 2 addresses over at 54-56 Lindsley. We're working our way back towards the site. Here we are now at 58 Lindsley, finally hit a 1-family dwelling. But again, it's a rarity in the neighborhood. That happens to be one of the smaller lots in the neighborhood too. Subject lot is much larger than that. 60 Lindsley, we're back to 2 addresses. 62 Lindsley, 2 addresses. 64, 66, we've got 3 addresses here. 70 Lindsley, we're working our way back towards the subject, 2 addresses. And then finally over at 72, 74 Lindsley, we've got a single address, even though it's a very large lot. Now we walk our way down Alexander Street. And again, here's that boarded up building that Daniel just showed you. 2 addresses at 160 Alexander. And then the lot to the left of that, you can see all the mailboxes. We've got 3 addresses at 158 Alexander Street. And then I went over to the other side of the street, at 149 Alexander. We've got 2 mailboxes. At 151, 153 Alexander, we've actually got 4 addresses by the Postal Service. 155 Alexander, 2 addresses. 157 Alexander, 3 addresses. 161 has 1 address. 163 has 1 address. But again, we still can count on one hand the number of 1 families here. And then just taking you the rest of the way on Lindsley, we got a 2 family at 76, 78, a 2 family at 80, 82, a 2 family at 83, and then 79, 81 is also 2 addresses. And you can see the subject is right on the other side of that little gazebo there. So this last little snapshot that I'll leave you with is just sort of a top down, and these little numbers that you see show what I just told you. 3s, 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 4, 2s throughout, 1s are a rarity. And so the clear planning point here is that the relief is justifiable because it certainly does promote compatible land use with the character of the area. The degree of departure I would offer here in this particular neighborhood is not substantial, is going to certainly advance the planning goal for efficient use of land, repurposing and revitalizing a vacant lot, which is one of the primary goals of the master plan. And given the fact that there are so many other non-1 families in this neighborhood, we think the intent and purpose of the zone plan is not being eroded here. With that, I would offer that the test is met, given the character of the neighborhood, the distinct character of the neighborhood. The R1 zone is vast. This pertains to a very small portion of the R1, so we don't think we're compromising the integrity of the zone with an approval here. That's all I have on direct.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. McDonough, can you also take us through the variances, Mr. McDonough?
Sure, I think Daniel hit the one, the transparency. The main one is the use. We've got coverage relief, which again, they're outlined here in Mr. Hazel's report. The impervious coverage, a C variance is required to permit greater impervious coverage, 77.9%, where 65% is the maximum that's allowed. Given the character of the neighborhood, the nature of the use, that additional excessive coverage here is going to provide the planning benefit of on-street parking, lessens the impact on the neighborhood in that regard, and we think on balancing provides a betterment of the site than its current condition. So that goes towards effectuating a beneficial project. And then there are street trees, which I think we still need that relief, and I might have to punt that up. Daniel's shaking his head, no, that's off the table. So really just the relief for the use and the coverage are the 2 main things for me, Council.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough. Mr. Chairman, I have no other questions of Mr. McDonough.
Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, I have none. You can sum up if you don't have any other witnesses.
I submit, Mr. Chairman.
You have someone with their hands up.
Where? Who? Commissioner or?
Seem to be a member of the public.
They've lowered their hand.
They lowered their hands.
Declined the invitation.
They declined the invitation, Ms. Mehran? All right, the board will now go into discussion. Commissioners in discussion on this application. Commissioner Riviero.
It seems fit what they're asking for. All the testimonies from the professionals are true. The neighbors are all 2 or 3 families. I guess I will be in favor of this. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Riviero. Any other comments from the board? Hearing none, can I have a motion? Can I get a motion from the board to
Commissioner,
approve?
motion to approve, ZBA, I lost the email, the number. Someone read it for me,
ZBA -23-80.
with all conditions mentioned.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner David Casillas and a second by Commissioner Covion. This will have a deed restriction. Call the roll, Madam Secretary.
Member Hardesty. Member Hardesty said yes, she's having some audio issues. Member Comesañas.
Yes.
Member Jones.
Yes, with deed restrictions.
Member Cobian.
Yes.
Member Rivero.
Yes.
Member Torres.
Yes.
Chair Mumford.
Yes. Congratulations. There is no site plan for this application, so your application has been approved.
Thank you.
very much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, Ms. Mehran. Call the next application.
The time is now 7:19 p.m. The next item on tonight's agenda is ZBA-23-75, located at 334-362 Elizabeth Avenue, Block 3546, lots 43 and 57.01 in the South Ward. The applicant is Elizabeth Avenue Holdings LLC. In the I2 zone, the applicant proposes lot consolidation for the purpose of confirming parking space as an accessory use to the permitted principal use of warehouse/industrial use, which is presently existing on the property. Applicant is seeking a D2 variance for expansion of non-conforming use and C variances for exceeding maximum lot coverage, exceeding maximum number of permitted driveways. Site plan approval and merger is required.
Find the facts for me, Madam Secretary.
The Board of Adjustment made the following findings of facts with respect to 334-362 Elizabeth Avenue, which is located in Newark's Industrial District. The subject site is located on the eastern side of Elizabeth Avenue. The total site area is approximately 365,277.62 square feet. The surrounding land uses consist of commercial/industrial establishments, a self-storage facility, and several used automotive sales and repair establishments.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Council, will you and your team raise your hand so we can bring you into the panel?
I'm here. How are you guys? Looks like we have John McDonough. I should have Matthew Wilder. We're all here, Chair.
You all here? Are there any objectors for this application? Please raise your hand. When you raise your hand, the secretary will send you an acceptance. You have to either accept to come into the panel. If you decline, you will not be allowed to the panel. Are there any objectors to this application? Please raise your hand. I don't see any. You see any?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're bringing them in.
1, 2. See 2 so far.
We will bring you in Mr. O2. Let's see his hand, and Patricia Hargrove. Are they in, Ms. Mahia?
Patricia Hargrove declined invitation.
Okay. Are there any supporters of this application? Please raise your hand and we will bring you into the panel. Ms. Afolo?
I'm not a supporter, Commissioner Mumford. I wasn't already.
Your hand was up.
I'm sorry, sir.
It's all right. Are we ready, Ms. Mehran?
Yes, we are.
All right, Counselor?
Hey, good evening, Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Chris Murphy with the law firm of Murphy, Schiller and Wilkes. Here on behalf of the applicant, the owner of the property located at 334-346 and 348-362 Elizabeth Avenue, specifically block 3546, lots 57.01 and 43. As the board secretary noted, the property is located in the I-2 Medium Industrial District. Presently existing on lot 57.01 is a 182,000 square foot multi-tenant warehouse building. In support of the warehouse use on lot 57.01, there currently exists a private tenant-only parking area on lot 43. Importantly, the private tenant-only parking area is limited to use by tenants that occupy the warehouse on lot 57.01. This is an accessory use to the principal warehouse use on the property. As most of the board members will recall, I was before this board on February 15th, requesting that the zoning determination issued in connection with this application be overturned. In upholding the zoning officer's determination, after a healthy debate, I lost. There seems to be consensus. That while the use itself wasn't offensive, the board would require be required to grant a variance in order to operate the site as proposed. So with that, we're here tonight seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval, inclusive of a lot consolidation, a D2 variance for an expansion of a non-conforming use, and a C variance relief. We're in receipt of the engineering review letter dated April 8th. I'd like to take a moment to thank the engineering department for getting us this letter well in advance of this meeting, which allowed us time to review it in detail and subsequently meet with the engineering department to address their comments and come up with solutions prior to tonight's meeting. Our project engineer will discuss this in more detail shortly. We're also in receipt of a planning review letter dated April 25th, or received on April 25th, dated April 23rd, as well as a letter from, the Water and Sewer Department dated April 25th. We'll discuss those tonight during testimony. I have two professionals here to testify. Our project engineer is Matthew Wilder. If we could get him sworn in, I'll qualify him and we'll present our engineering testimony.
Counselor, when your professionals come, could you please point right to the letter with engineering, letter with water and sewer? Let's get those points done and out the way and move forward from there. May call you for witness.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
You may call your first witness.
Sure. Matthew Wilder.
Good evening. Raise your right hand.
Mr. Wilder, do you solemnly swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your affiliation for the record.
Sure. Matthew Wilder, Wilder, and I am the engineer for the project.
Counsel, qualify your...
Sure. Matthew, your license is current?
Yes, it is.
Great. For the benefit of the board, a little information on your professional experience and educational background.
Sure. So I graduated from Rowan University in 2006 with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. I worked solely in the field of land development since, and while I've not had the pleasure of appearing before this board before, I have been before probably 65 boards on over 300 applications and accepted as an expert in engineering.
We will accept Mr. Wilder as an engineer. Welcome and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Wilder, do you want to show the one exhibit that you're going to be presenting tonight?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair, if we can mark this as A1, we'll get a title and a date. I believe it's dated today. Is that correct, Mr. Wilder?
It is. Can everybody see my screen at the moment?
We'll call this a colored site plan rendering.
Yes, it's a landscape rendering of the project site.
Do we have this? Was this turned to our secretary?
It was not.
It was not, Mr. Chair. So it was an exhibit A1, and I'll get it over to Sylvia after the meeting, if that's okay.
Thank you. Exhibit A1.
So, Mr. Wilder, you want to walk the board through, through this project again? I think most of you will recall, when I was here, back in February. But let's talk a bit about. There's an existing warehouse building on the property, and then we're here tonight as it relates to an accessory use for truck parking on the left-hand side of everyone's screen. If you could just walk them through that. And also, as recommended by the chair, just walk through the engineering review letter, touch on the points that we addressed, and the things that we will comply with as a condition of this approval, if you could.
Sure. So as Mr. Murphy had indicated, there's an existing warehouse on the property. This warehouse is probably, in excess of 100 years old. I took a look at some historical aerial imagery while preparing for this meeting, and you can actually see this warehouse as far back as 1931, which is the oldest aerials that I could find. So we're here this evening seeking permission to have an accessory truck parking area that supports the existing warehouse. It is important to note that this parking area will only be for tenants of the building. That is, a trucking company cannot, just lease parking areas on this property. It is only for the warehouse tenants. Operationally, the site has two driveways currently, an ingress driveway on the west side of the site, and then an ingress driveway about 200 feet further to the east. And that's these two locations here that I'm circling with my mouse. This is the ingress only driveway, and this is the exit only. There's also a full movement two-way driveway on adjacent lot 57.02, and that contains the self-storage facility. This property has access to that via an easement. So as it relates to off-street parking, the site exceeds the requirements. 38 off-street parking spaces are required, whereas 46 parking spaces are proposed. And really the most significant improvement that we're making, which was outlined several times within the engineer's review, is we are increasing the green space on the subject property. All of the plantings that you see on this rendering are all proposed plantings. The areas that are highlighted in red that I'm circling here, here, and here, those are areas that are not currently shown as landscaping on my site plan, but to address comments or concerns raised within the engineering review, we have incorporated these additional green areas into the site plan.
Mr. Wilder, just to confirm, we are in response to a comment in the engineering review letter, we're giving up some parking spaces to allow for, or to, plant some more trees and green areas. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're reducing the number of proposed truck parking locations by a total of 4 to increase the green space on the site. Generally speaking, it's a fairly simple application with respect to engineering. We're not changing the grading or drainage patterns which you find on the site. Elizabeth Avenue is generally a high point, and all the stormwater runoff when it rains goes from Elizabeth Avenue towards the railroad tracks. To that end, as was requested within the engineer's review, we did reach out to Conrail and send them a copy of our proposed site plans, and they were kind enough to respond relatively quickly with a letter of no objection that we had been provided on April 22nd. As Mr. Murphy indicated, the engineering group and water and sewer were not only nice enough to provide us their comments well in advance of this meeting, but to actually set up a meeting with them. And we take no issue, aside from those, the relief that we're requesting this evening with respect to lot coverage and use, we take no issue with satisfying those comments and those conditions as a condition of approval if this board were to grant the requested relief. So that's really all I have on my direct testimony. Again, there's not a lot from an engineering perspective here, but I did want to point out the additional green space that we are incorporating into this site, not only along the frontage of Elizabeth Avenue, but also internal to the site itself.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Waller. Mr. Chair, I have no more direct questions for this witness.
Are there any questions from the board for the engineer?
I got a question here.
I see you, Commissioner Riviero. Go ahead. After Commissioner Riviero, we're gonna go to Mr. Hazel, and after Mr. Hazel, we're gonna go to the city engineer, Mr. Traficante. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm not sure if it will be the engineer to, where it says lot line to be eliminated. You guys see, I'm a driver myself. Why would you, not saying I'm against greens, but I see the drivers becoming a real hassle over there. Right where it's lot line to be eliminated, where you guys have it basically right there. Wouldn't it be better to have some sort of drive-through on that section itself? Or
so the lot line to be eliminated is proposed to allow us to consolidate the properties. into one property. The access between this area, if you will, and this area is through here. The reason we can't really cut a new road through here is there's a pretty significant amount of grade change in this area, and it just wouldn't work from a slope perspective. So this additional length allows us more gradual slopes for the vehicles.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Hazel.
Yes, quick question. Did you, with the additional green space that you mentioned in the encircled red areas, are you now eliminating any need for a variance, landscaping variance?
We still require the variance for providing 15% of the parking lot shading after, I forget the time frame. So we still do need that relief. But the purpose and what we didn't want to do was sort of introduce new islands sort of mid-block in the parking areas. We thought that would be a little bit cumbersome, and in those small isolated pockets, we have concerns about the vegetation surviving. So the thought was to take the existing islands where we have plantings and enlarge them to be able to provide a more robust variety of plants in those areas. But we still do need that relief for the percent shaded.
You also needed relief for the 15% of the site being landscape. I think you had proposed 8%. What are you up to now?
So the additional landscaping that we added, let me just pull up the specific section, was to address the 15% of interior lot landscaping. And it was recommended that we increase the total green space by just under 2,900 square feet. This revised plan increases it by 3,000 square feet. So we did eliminate that particular variance.
Okay, so that insufficient, not meeting the 15%. So that basically right now you're at 15% or above.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Mr. Trafficante, city engineer.
Yes, sir.
You're up.
Do I have to be sworn in?
Yeah, because you get testimony. Mr. Plata.
Mr. Trafficante, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will state the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your affiliation for the record.
Name is Charles Trafficante. Last name's Trafficante. I am a principal engineer and a professional engineer. I am currently in the employment of the City of Newark, Department of Engineering. My license is active and in good standing with the State Board.
Go ahead, Mr. Trafficante.
Thank you. Couple questions. Ms. Waller, for the record, did you receive, was it a letter of no interest or a letter of approval from Conrail? And can you tell the board for the record, what was the date of that letter? Which was it? What's the date?
It was a letter of no objection, and if you'd like it, I have it that I can share now if you'd want to introduce it as an exhibit.
Well, you could submit it. All right.
So I guess we'll call this A2. This is a letter
A2 submit it to the board, please. To the secretary.
Of course. And this is a letter that we received on April 22nd, following our meeting with the engineering division as well as the water and sewer department. We were asked to obtain this letter, so we had copied and sent to Conrail a copy of our plans, along with what we were looking to do. And in response, we received this letter in return.
All right. Next
We'll
question.
certainly provide that to the board.
Thank you. Next question. In the engineering reports to the board dated April 8th, on page 3, item 3, demolition plan, Roman numeral 3. Applicant shall provide testimony to the board as to whether or not they intend to remove the existing 10-foot high electric fence shown along the south-southwest property line of subject lot 43. If not, then the applicant shall need to request a design waiver variance from section 41:16-5-1-3 A and B of the Code Code for the height and type of fence in order to allow this existing fence to remain. The engineering department defers comment on the granting of this design waiver variance to the board planner. Can you provide testimony to address that item, Mr. Alder?
Sure. So we are proposing to leave that fence as it exists. Based on some of, again, the aerial imagery that I've been able to review, that fence has been in existence for multiple decades. Considering the nature of the surrounding use is heavily industrialized, for just site security and safety, we are asking to allow that fence to remain.
Even though it's an electric fence?
Again, if the board has concerns with it, we can certainly have the conversation. But we are asking at this time to allow the fence to remain as again, it has been in existence for quite some time.
There's no concerns of someone getting electrocuted?
I'm not aware of any issues that have occurred relative to that fence, and I'm not certain that the fence is electrified. We have a planner here as well this evening. While he would be testifying, I can certainly reach out to my client and get clarification on if that fence is actually electrified or is it just powered and not electrified. I can find that if the
So we know, just to confirm, it's not powered, it's not electrified.
No, okay, because that's what was said on the survey.
Yeah, so I think there might have been an electrical panel that might have given the appearance of it. But again, I haven't researched that, but I assume Mr. Murphy has spoken to our client while I was speaking, and it is not electrified, and it will not be electrified, and we'll accept a deed restriction that it is not electrified.
Well, there's not gonna be a deed restriction that it's not electrified. We're just gonna, as a condition of approval, we'll agree that as part of this application, we're confirming that this is not an electrified fence.
Thank you, Counselor. I would like proof that it's not electrified.
Yes, sir.
To be submitted.
Yes, sir. Matthew, you gotta go stand out there and grab it.
Done.
Mr. Applicant, you may continue.
No, and no further questions. I believe that's it. Again, you agreed to comply with all the other comments in light or after our meeting with water and sewer and with Morgan Engineering. I don't have the exact date. Mr. Wilder, if you have the date, but I do know we did meet. I was there.
We did, and we certainly appreciated the city making time for us to go over the comments. As we discussed at that meeting, and as I testified here this evening, we take no issue with the comments remaining within that letter.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Traficante. Mr. Wilder, could you just for me go over again? I know how you enter, because I live a block away. I know how you enter the driveway. How do you exit this facility?
Sure. So there's two exits. This is an exit only, right here. So if a vehicle comes in and utilizes any of these parking spaces, they can simply leave here via this egress only. And maybe I'll zoom in a little bit to make it a little bit easier to see. All right. So this is an in only, and this is an out only. So this is one way that you could exit the property. The other way, whoops, and it depends on which part of the site you're occupying. The other way to leave is this easement over here, which is on an adjacent property, but this property has rights to it via the easement, and this is a full movement driveway. This is an in and an out driveway. So you can leave via this driveway here, or you could also leave over here, depending upon where you're coming from and what's more convenient.
Okay, Mr. Wilder. As a condition of approval, the one that's close to the current warehouse building, could we put a sign there, right turn only? Because I travel Elizabeth Avenue, and that truck coming out there trying to make a left, it's going to be very difficult.
So that is not part of our property. I'll defer to Mr. Murphy.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to limit that, Mr. Chair, because we have an easement over that area of the property, so we couldn't put a restriction on that area. It's an easement area. Unfortunately, we legally can't do it.
Come on, counsel, put your counsel in and talk to the other company.
Yeah, I mean,
any questions from the board? Hearing none, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
This is AJ from Department of Water Sewer, if I could be sworn in.
Oh, hey, AJ, I didn't know you was here. Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Swear him in.
AJ, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will state the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your affiliation for the record.
My name is Asdullah Jamali. I'm a principal engineer for the Department of Water and Sewer.
Yeah,
I just have a question for the applicant. Can you guys clarify if you agree to the rest of the comments that were dated in today's memo that was sent over to you? The letter that you guys received from Conrail addresses, I believe, 3B. But what about the rest of the comments, which is specifically I'm referencing number 3 and 3A?
Sure. We did receive your letter this afternoon, and we take no issue with the remaining comments, and we'll comply with those comments to put on for the purpose of the complete record.
That would be all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. AJ. Any further questions from the city professionals or the board? Seeing none, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. John McDonough is our planner.
Chair,
I'm right here, Chairman.
Chair, did you ask? I don't remember if you asked the public if they had any questions.
I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Are there any questions from the public for the engineer? I'm not seeing any.
Ms. Patricia Hargrove.
She's had her hand up for the longest.
I know.
We asked her to come. Is she in now?
Hello,
Is now.
I'm here.
Hi, Ms. Hargrove. Are you here as a supporter or objector of this application on the legal path?
I'm here to object for the application.
Do you have any questions for the engineer?
Well, I live across the street, directly across the street from where you're talking about.
I understand it, ma'am. Right now is not the time for you to give statement. We will give you an opportunity to give your statement, but as an objector, the engineer just gave testimony about what's going to happen on the site. Do you have any questions for the engineer pertaining just to it? All right, we will come back to you and allow you to put your concern on the record. All right, Mrs. Hargrove?
Thank
you. Anyone else, Ms. Mehran?
No.
You may call your next witness.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. John McDonough, our professional planner.
Mr. McDonough, do you solemnly swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your affiliation for the record.
John McDonough, MC, capital DONOUGH, project planner.
Ms. McDonough is familiar with this board. We'll accept him as a planner.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. McDonough, do you mind providing planning testimony related to the variances and waivers we're requesting tonight?
Sure, pretty straightforward application. And Matt, maybe for simplicity, can you put that last exhibit you had up there, the site plan, back up there?
Absolutely.
We'll be relatively brief with this. I think the site will speak for itself. We are here in the I-2 zone district, your medium industrial zone, which allows for a wide variety of industrial uses. We know that truck support is important to the nature of this zone. That being said, the applicant does need relief for truck, tractor, trailer, and heavy vehicle storage, which is an existing condition, an existing non-conforming condition, and whenever we have alteration of a non-conforming condition, which is the case here, it goes to the zoning board for what we call D2 relief, or for alteration of a non-conforming use. The essence of the test is not whether the use belongs in the first place. That's what makes it different and more relaxed than a D1 test if this were a wholly new use in the zone. The essence of the D2 test, again, is not whether the use belongs in the first place, but the essence is site betterment. Is the applicant taking an established site and making it better? And I think this exhibit says it all, taking a longstanding established industrial site, making it greener, introducing some biomass onto the property, and maintaining the functionality of this land use as a logistics land use that supports the logistics supply chain. We know that New Jersey is the logistics state, and we're right here in the epicenter, being adjacent to the largest seaport on the East Coast, second largest airport, and connectivity with over 33% of the United States population within a one-day drive of New Jersey. makes this land use of paramount public importance at this location. Having trucks, again, is essential. Empty loading bays serve no functional purpose. It is most important to have trucks available, truck drops available for when those spaces are empty and filling them up while the other trucks are out there on the road. So again, this is an important component of the logistics supply chain. It smooths out those peaks and valleys in supply and demand so that product and goods can be available to the public when it wants it. And we know there's unprecedented demand in online shopping and products now. We know that 75% of the more than 600 million tons of goods that move through the state each year are done by trucks. So trucks are vital to the New Jersey economy and vital to the logistics industry as well, and are a great fit here. They've been here. This is going to take what's there and make it better. Based on the testimony of Matt before me and the visual that you see, this relief can be granted without any substantially adverse impacts. It's taking what's there, it's making it better. The coverage still needs relief, but it is certainly moving the needle closer to conformance with the greenery here. We're trying to find that effective balance of safe circulation, as you heard the commissioner say, provide for these larger vehicles to navigate through the site, and also increase the greenery. The coverage is going to be at 90.7%, where 85% is the maximum that's allowed. Again, that's an improvement over the longstanding existing condition. There is some parking relief to allow 30 spaces where 38 would be the minimum that's required. Again, the supply will meet the actual demand here. We're not looking to alter that, which has been longstanding on the property as well. The parking lot landscaping, I think, has been resolved through Matt's testimony that the applicant is not seeking that relief. And then the number of driveways, a design waiver being required to permit a greater number of driveways than are permitted. Again, working with what's been established there is really what's establishing the relief and necessary for safe ingress and egress out of the site. With that, I believe we've hit all the relief. I think under the balancing test here, this is going to land squarely on the positive side, promoting the general welfare with minimal, if any, impacts in terms of the change of what's been there. That's all I have on direct.
Great, thank you, Mr. McDonough. Mr. Chair, I have no further questions for this witness.
Any questions from the board for Mr. McDonough? Any questions from the professionals for Mr. McDonough? Any questions from the public for Mr. McDonough? Seeing none, I do have a question not for Mr. McDonough, but maybe the engineer or someone. The gate that's surrounding it, will that be upgraded? The fence, I'm sorry. The fence, the current fence, will it be upgraded?
At this juncture, the intent is to leave that existing fence as it is.
So it won't be painted, because it's been the same look for the last 20 years.
Not at this time. If that's a conversation we need to have, we certainly can have that conversation. But at the moment, we're proposing to leave the existing fence as is.
I would like to see it painted.
Mr. Chair, are you just so we're clear, are you referring to the chain link fence or?
There is a fence there. I believe it's chain link, but it's in good shape, but it's got some wear and tear to it.
Sure.
So I think we can certainly agree to identify if there's additional areas where the fencing has sort of fallen into a little bit of disrepair, and ensure that they are replaced to not as to be an aesthetic downgrade, because that's certainly not what we're trying to accomplish with this development. Aside from supporting the warehouse, we are trying to beautify the property. So we can certainly evaluate the existing fence, and any areas that need to be replaced or repaired, we'll do so.
Thank you. Council, you have any other witnesses?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
Are there any, at this time, we're gonna ask for statements from the public. Ms. Hargrove, this is your time to give a statement. Why you are for or against this project. You will have to be sworn in. After you're sworn in, you will have 3 minutes to give your statement. Ms. Hargrove, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, I don't. Who's that? This, Mr. O2, I had my hand up to, I apologize, Mr. O2, I did not see you. Mr. Fellow, is that a new hand or
I
Okay.
also had a hand up to
All right.
ask some questions before my statement.
Okay, Mr. O2, ask your question. I'm not sure if my question is to Mr. Murphy or Mr. McDonough, but earlier Mr. Murphy alluded to the fact that this application came up before and it was rejected. I want to know what's the difference between the previous application and this one.
Yeah, so just to be clear, it's a really good question. I didn't mean to confuse anyone. So this application wasn't before the board. What happened is the zoning officer determined that a D2 use variance was required in order for us to allow us to use the site as we're proposing to use it. I disagreed with her interpretation of the zoning ordinance. We came up here, I did an appeal to the zoning board. You have under the municipal land use law, you have the right to appeal a zoning officer's determination. I appealed that determination. The board upheld her determination. So they said, you can move forward with the application, but you have to seek the D2 variance as outlined in the zoning determination from Nanajuma, who's the city zoning officer. So all we did was now we're here with the full application. Nothing was denied. It was just that my disagreement over what variances were required ultimately was withheld. You know, my consideration was withheld by the board, and the zoning officer was her determination was affirmed. So we just came back to this board, and now we're here with the full presentation. But nothing was denied. It was just a matter of me disagreeing with our applicant disagreeing with the zoning officer's determination. Again, ultimately, she won that battle. We're back here for a full application.
Does that answer your question, Mr. O2? Yes, sir. Thank you. Ms. Afalo?
I don't know who this question goes to, but I'm trying to understand with the trucks. Are they coming in 24 hours? You know, what are the, would these trucks be an all-day thing, morning, afternoon, midnight? And also, I'm a little concerned because you're talking about all of these trucks and parking. What about, you know, have anyone thought about the air quality for those couple of residents that is surrounding? You know, there are seniors that live in that area. And you don't have a lot of green space over there. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I think that's best directed probably to our engineer, Matt.
Sure. Yeah. So there's multiple tenants.
Say the name for the record, please.
Matthew Wilder, again, the site engineer. So there are multiple tenants that utilize the warehouse, and their hours vary slightly. But generally speaking, the hours that you're looking at are from 6 a.m. until 4:30, 5 o'clock at night, and those hours are Monday through Friday. That's you know how the facility operates. As it relates to you know, air quality and additional truck traffic, I think it's important to note that a traffic report was submitted as part of this application, and it looked at this use and tried to determine, is there even an intensification of the use? And the traffic engineer was Stonefield Engineering, and they utilized the Institute of Transportation Engineers, the ITE trip generation model, the 11th edition. And for warehouses, the actual amount of truck traffic is based on the size of the warehouse. This is an accessory use. Because the fact that the parking area is for tenants only of the warehouse, it's not really driving traffic or trips to and from the site in and of itself. It's supportive of the warehouse. So it's not really an intensification of the use, although as Mr. McDonough outlined, it is an expansion to a non-conforming use. But, you know, and when compared historically to the property itself, you know, the increased green space is actually probably reducing the intensity, and I'm not going to say there's going to be a significant improvement to air quality, but the truck parking area in and of itself is not a driving force of traffic.
Thank you, Mr. Wilder.
Mr. Fellow, you have another question? Does that answer your question?
Well, in accordance to me being on a particular board for air quality, Elizabeth Avenue has very poor air quality. And so, they should have contacted, you know, like SWIA and had them do and look at their report. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Fellow. Are there any more questions from the public?
I have a question. Commissioner Torres. Commissioner
Ari, your name? Ari?
Yes, you can call
Let
me.
me ask you a question. Not, your question has to be for the engineer or the planner.
Understood. So from what I understood with Mr. Murphy's explanation, I'm trying to determine, are you trying to circumvent what the original, determination was on those ordinances? Because,
Now, just to be clear, no, we're not circumventing. We're here because they upheld the zoning officer's determination, so nothing at all is being circumvented. I disagreed with the zoning officer's determination. I put on a case that outlined why I disagreed and why I thought the board should overturn it. The board did not overturn it. We are here tonight pursuant to the determination of the city zoning officer, of the board planner, et cetera. Nothing was circumvented, ma'am.
understood. So in the interest of that, is Mr. Wilder able to show that traffic, report that he just mentioned, or the documents that he just mentioned with regards to what those ordinances originally were? Is he able to show it right now so we can see what this information is based on that he's talking about? Because whatever those
Well, you're not a traffic engineer, correct?
That's correct, but he said he submitted, this was submitted to them and they received, approval based on information that they provided somehow. So
Yes,
I'm
Ms.
just.
Ari, so what we would say is that a traffic impact study was submitted as part of this application. It's part of the public record, which is accessible to everybody in the public. You can go and request the full application and review that report in detail.
The determination, the determination of that report is on the website. Is that what you're saying for us to look at?
Everything is on the record in the file on the website, yes.
Okay, so we weren't aware of that prior to this meeting to review that.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Ari?
No, sir, that's it for now. You can't really.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the public at this time for the engineer or the planner? Seeing none?
Mr. Chair, Torres had her hand up before.
Torres? Commissioner Torres?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, are you planning on planting on trees in the parking lot?
Yes, Ms. Torres, Commissioner Torres, Mr. Wilder, if you want to share your screen again, we're adding significantly to the internal landscaping on the parking lot. In fact, we eliminated one of the variances. As you'll see, none of that's currently there. We're adding all of that as one of your fellow commissioners had stated before. You know, it kind of makes it, you know, as a truck driver, from a truck driver's perspective, they'd probably rather not any of that there. But in working with the engineering department and understanding what their requests were and needs were, we added a lot of internal landscaping. Matt, I'm sorry, I played engineer for a second. Go ahead if you.
Sure, no problem. All of the plantings you see here, and all the green space does not exist. We are introducing that. That is all new plantings, which includes 2 additional street trees along Elizabeth Ave, some evergreen plantings along the rear of the trash enclosure area. All of these plantings are new to, again, just be an aesthetic upgrade to the property as a whole.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Are there any questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, we will now take statements from the public, whether they object, whether they're for. You have 3 minutes, you have to be sworn in, and you have 3 minutes to give your testimony. Please raise your hand at this time. I don't see any. Do you see any, Ms. Mehran, or anyone else see any?
Yes, sir, 2 raised hands.
See 2?
Yes, Mr. Follow and Mr. Jobel too.
Mr. Follow, you may raise your right hand. swear in, Mr. Plata?
Yes. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will state the truth and nothing but the truth?
I'm sorry, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record.
Jimmy Stella Protofalo, Pavilion Apartments, the city of Newark, New Jersey. So we've had several residents, and they are seniors that reached out to myself and my organization, and they really don't want this. They are asking, they're saying that it's going to become disruptive to their quality of life. My concern is that this is already a busy area. And my other concern is about, we say we have trees, but, when you travel down that area, you may have trees, but they're not in the best shape and so my whole concern is that I don't think that we should allow this. I think that it can be used for something else. And I think that the residents, if they don't want it and they have just cause because it's going to interfere with their quality of life, then we should respect that. And these are, older people that live there. I personally have lived in an area where there was trucks. And when I asked about the time, let me tell you, they start up at 4 or 4:30 in the morning, and they don't always come back at 4:30 in the afternoon. And it could be disruptive to your quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fellow. Anyone else?
Yes, there are two additional hands, Mr. Olson.
Mr. O2, raise your right hand. Swear in, Mr. Plata?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will state the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your address for the record.
Nia Blade, Adjogo O2. Last name is ADJOGA-OTU. Address is 62 Haddon Terrace, Newark, New Jersey.
You may go, Mr. O2.
Again, just to echo what Mr. Follow said, we have people who live in this area and, they're struggling with trying to survive in this area right now. Adding additional traffic and additional trucks will be detrimental to their quality of life. I know that the businesses will benefit from the additional trucks and the additional traffic, but the people who have lived here for decades, it won't be good for them. And we have to respect that. So on that basis, I'm not in favor of this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. Ari, please turn your camera on, state your name, and be sworn in. I'm sorry. Ari?
Hi. One second.
Ari, you have to raise your right hand.
Okay. Right.
Raise your right hand, be sworn in. Mr. Plata?
Yes. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will state the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and state your address for the record.
My name is Eleonora Farrell, Farrel. I live at 200 Chadwick Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, 07108, apartment 1. Yeah, you can call me Ari. Can I go forward with my statement?
Yes.
Okay. I am here in support of residents of Newark. I am part of a few community agencies and organizations that are actively participating and advocating for the residents of Newark getting to live comfortably. And as far as residential areas go, I understand that this is both an industrial and residential area. However, there's a way bigger problem of homelessness and housing issues in this community than there is
of, like Mr. McDonough was describing, having access to logistical companies and warehousing and all of that. And our community needs more development for places that people live comfortably, then it needs more warehouses. And having worked in the trucking and stuff industry, I understand that this is gonna add revenue, but it's taken away from what the city needs to invest in, which is the livelihood of people. If this were a complex that was just for office spaces and stuff like that, and staying in what the area is already used to having, it wouldn't be such an impediment to the livelihoods of people. But adding the fact that there will be high traffic, it will affect the air quality significantly more than you can add enough trees to make the air quality better. And Elizabeth Avenue is already deteriorating a lot faster than we can invest in its growth. And this is not benefiting the community as much as it's benefiting the people trying to invest in it. So I'm afraid I have to not support this particular applicant.
Thank you. Any further statements from the public?
Oh, man.
Ms. Hargrove has her hand up.
Ms. Hargrove, please turn your camera on. You have to be sworn in. Raise your right hand so you can be sworn in.
I don't know how to turn it on. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, Mr. Plata.
Yes, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will state the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and provide your address for the record.
Patricia Hargrove, Hargrove, 349 Elizabeth Avenue, Newark, New Jersey.
You may proceed, Ms. Hargrove.
My concern is the trucks waiting to go into the parking lot. I go in the street, that would be a problem for the residents of the area, and particularly where I live, because I'm right across the street from where you're talking about. And it would just be very inconvenient to me to be bothered with the trucks idling in the street, tying up the traffic, causing accidents, which will definitely happen because they're messing with the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hargrove. Any further statements from the public? I see no hands. Do any of my other commissioners see any hands?
There are no other hands.
Council, you would like to close?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank the public for their comments. I do want to know we are in an I2 medium industrial zoning district here. We have 182,000 square foot warehouse that is currently existing on the property. This parking area is in support of that existing warehouse. We're not talking about, putting up a new warehouse here with a distribution center where we're going to have tons of more traffic. We've submitted a traffic impact statement that reflects that. We've done everything that has been asked of us to this point as it relates to doing as many environmentally sensitive additions to this property as we could. As our testimony professionals stated on the record tonight, we believe it's the right project for the right property, and we respectfully request that the board does grant approval of this application.
Thank you, Councilor. The board will now go into discussion. We will no longer take any statements from the public. Are there any discussions from the board?
Yeah.
Who is that? We're gonna go with Commissioner Comisarians.
Yeah, I mean, I respect what the community is saying, but, I know Mr. Otu mentioned people have been in the community for decades. They should know that this has been a parking lot for trucks for decades. I mean, you could go on Google Maps all the way back to 2007 and it's still truck parking. I respect that there's people who live in the area, but this isn't an industrial and residential area. This is an I2 area. It's an industrial 2 zone. For what they're asking is to make it conforming for what it's already been for decades. And they're adding green, they're not taking it away. The one thing I will say is I'm sure the fence at their homes are nice and in good conditions. The ones at their properties that they own and invest in should be in good, nice working condition. But with that said, we're basically voting to make it what it already has been since I was, I think, a teenager, maybe longer. So I'm not against this project, not necessarily for it. For me, it's just is what it is. It's something that's in that area, and a warehouse needs conforming truck parking as opposed to just trying to figure out where the trucks are going to go. I don't see it causing any more or less traffic than it already does, or any more or less traffic, air quality concerns than it already does. I don't see any objection to this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ribeiro.
I'm actually going to follow up on Commissioner Comesañas. They could probably build a little warehouse there with plenty of trucks going in and out. Maybe they'll even run a 24/7 operation instead of just dropping off a trailer and leaving. I don't think the community sees what it could be. They're failing to see that it could be much worse by far. And so to say they're adding greens and trees and so on, it might just be helping more than you guys can think of. That's why I think you guys are failing to see what it could be there. This is this is actually better than what you guys could think, what they could put up there. Not necessarily this applicant, but somebody, another one. So I actually think this is much better than what it could be. So I will be in favor of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Ribeiro. Any further discussion from the board? When I look at this project, I think back to, I believe it was either 2 or 3 years ago. The original application that wasn't by this only came for us, and they wanted to put another storage facility there, which was 300 feet away from the current storage facility. And we denied that because it didn't make sense to have two giant storage facilities 300 feet from each other. The entire city for the last year and a half has been complaining about truck parking on the streets from the south all the way to the north. It's been a constant over and over again about how trucks are parking on the streets and not being ticketed. And the council has been asking the administration to find locations where these trucks could actually park. When a truck is turning into a driveway, it does not idle. It is just got its blinker on, waiting for a good time to make a left turn or right turn into a driveway. And no truck should be in a parking lot across the street from the 3 homes that's there idling. That should be a no-no. There should be no idling of trucks going on. When I look at this neighborhood, you have the 78 bridge, you have a car lot, you have a car wash, and then you have the tire shop, which we approved, which is over there with the compressor gun every day. Plenty of noise going on. And they open from 6 a.m. to 10 at night. Then you have the 3 homes that are there. And then you have another car facility that sells cars and buses. Then you have White Castle. And you have Burger King to the right, and you have the storage facility. This is an opportunity for us to get trucks, 18-wheelers off the streets of Newark that everyone has been complaining about. This has always been a truck parking lot. I'm tired of driving by there, seeing the giant boulders. That's all you see in there right now, the giant oversized cylinder blocks and an empty lot, and that's all we pass every single day. So I am in favor of this application. I thank the public for coming out and speaking out. And I understand air quality, but this is an I-2 district. And this is something that the benefit to the entire South Ward is having trucks off the street, which everyone's been complaining about. So I'm in favor of the application. With that being said, here, no further discussion. Can I get a motion to approve or deny this application?
Chair, Mr. Hazel had his hand up. I don't know if
I did not see him. Mr. Hazel, I apologize.
I'm not sure if he's sure he wants to say something.
No problem. I just wanted to ask, I know it's a little out of order, but if the board would consider having a condition of approval that this facility be only for the benefit of the warehouse that it is a accessory to, and not be converted also into some sort of a paying truck parking area.
Duly noted, by our planner, Mr. Hazel. Mr. Murphy, are you, in favor of that condition?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that was our testimony throughout. This is an accessory parking use for the existing warehouse. This is not a separate paid parking lot for somebody else. No one's parking in here unless they have a lease and have an operation in that warehouse. Yes, that will be part of our resolution of a condition of approval, of course.
Thank you, Ms. Counselor. Can I get a motion to approve or motion to deny?
Motion to approve ZBA 23-75, 334-336 Elizabeth Avenue with all conditions mentioned.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Can I get a second? Riviera. We have a motion by Commissioner Camasayas, a second by Riviera. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Member Hardesty,
Yes.
Member Comesañas,
Yes.
Member Jones,
No.
Member Rivero,
Yes.
Member Cobian, Member Torres,
Yes.
Chair Mumford.
Yes. Can we get a motion for conditional site plan approval?
Move it.
Move it. Second.
Comisañas Ribeiro.
Camasayas made the motion for the conditional site plan, and it was seconded by Commissioner Riviera. Council, you do understand that this is conditional, that you have to come and meet with the planner and the city engineer for final approval. If everything is a go, then you don't have to come back to the board. If there is a disagreement, then you come back to this board. Are we clear on that before we
Yes,
call?
Mr. Chair, this is where the fun begins, resolution compliance.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Member Hardesty,
Yes.
Member Comesañas,
Yes.
Member Jones,
No.
Member Rivero,
Yes.
Member Cobian, Member Torres,
Yes.
Chair Mumford.
Yes. Congratulations, your application has been approved.
Thanks, everyone. Great seeing you
Thank you
tonight.
so much. Have a great night.
Madam Secretary, where are we?
That is
That's
all.
the last- That is the last application. At this time, do we have any memorializations?
We do not.
We do not. Do we have any minutes to be memorialized?
We do not.
Do we have any reason to go into executive session?
No.
We do not. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded our business for the evening. Thank everyone for coming out. Thank the board. Thank our professionals. Have a good night and see you at the next one. I'm sorry, motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Motion. Move it.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Night.